Some of South Africa's most famous prisoners have spent decades locked on the fringes of this beautiful city. Former President Nelson Mandela was incarcerated on Robben Island. He then spent 6 years here at Pollsmoor Prison. But now Pollsmoor is home to killers, rapists and armed robbers.
I'm in for, I'm not proud of it, 1 murder, 2 times attempted murders. I used to see people stab each other, shoot each other. You know, I was a very rough guy.
Talib Lewis is serving a 7-year sentence. Before he came to jail, he killed birds for sport.
I used to shoot them with catapults down over the trees, throw them with stones, sometimes pick their feathers.
But now the hands which killed cradle life.
It's getting excited now, seeing food.
Talib shares his cramped cell with tiny birds. He's one of a special group of prisoners who are hand-rearing birds at Pollsmoor Prison.
And it's amazing how these people change.
For most of his career as a prison officer, Vickers Cresser kept his love of birds a secret. But in 1997 he started the Pollsmoor Bird Project. He believed that some inmates could be trusted if they were only given a chance.
Look, in every person I believe there's good. You must just find that good. Some of them are rough diamonds. Try to get the rough diamond, polish the diamond a bit, and you will see the beautiful stones come out there. This is John Louis. He's coming getting his bird. This is Mum.
The prisoners care for the birds until the birds are old enough to be sold to the public. A share of the proceeds is given to the prisoner, the rest is ploughed back into the project.
He already likes you.
The operation relies on volunteers and donations. It runs without costing the Department of Correctional Services a cent.
Okay, I hope all of the best.
It's become a bustling, standalone business. But for the prisoners, each bird which is sold also has an emotional price.
You know, it was a very emotional moment for me. When the people arrived, I handed birds over, but I was feeling very down there because it felt like a part of me is being taken away that minute. 3 o'clock when they locked us up, I went straight into my bed and I went to cry. That's how I felt it, that very same moment.
And they're gaining weight okay?
Yes.
What is their weight gains a day?
Elsa Hoffman and Jill Edge are volunteers. They spend their spare time in the prison teaching the inmates how to care for the birds.
The birds definitely do quite a bit for the prisoners. As I've said before, it gives them something to care for. And they realise that the birds are dependent on them for their well-being.
They have high standards and any inmate who can't keep up risks losing his place in the project. But Elsa says most of the prisoners invest an extraordinary amount of hard work and emotion in their birds.
I remember quite clearly, right in the beginning, one of the prisoners had a little lovebird that died. He couldn't actually part with this bird, even though it was dead. He buried it in his pot plant because he wanted the bird to still be with him in his prisons, in his cell. He didn't want to part with it, he couldn't.
When it began, few people on the inside or the outside had confidence that the project would work.
My first expression or impression I get from the guys, they say, impossible. Forget it, it won't work. Not in a prison. Yes, murderers and rapists, they will kill the birds and they don't look after the birds, that sort of thing.
But now some of the most brittle inmates in Pollsmoor are lining up to take part.
Nice. And who are the other two that you've got
Troubles.
there? Troubles?
Keith Randall is a rapist and self-confessed killer.
I got charged with rape from this girl. I would say I had part in it, and also it was like more of a comeback to get back at me for what I did to them. I killed 2 members of that family.
Every afternoon, Keith and the other prisoners are locked up until the next morning. For Keith, the birds have become trusted cellmates.
I think they understand me sometimes. Seeing that I have no one else I can talk to inside here, I often tell them my problems I have. I tell them about the life I had outside. I tell them about how they've actually changed my life inside here. And then they would, to me, it appears that they understand because they just sit and watch me intently. And whenever I stop talking, then they start chirping like they're answering me back in their kind of way, you know. So they're quite good companions for me inside here.
It took 3 years for Keith Randall to earn a place in the project. He says other inmates tried to criticise his efforts.
They just tell me it's a waste of time and I'm just doing it for this or I'm doing it for that, and I'll just go back and I tell them I'm not doing it for nobody else but for myself. You know, I get a kick out of it. I feel good at the end of the day, and they're just jealous.
There are few distractions from the monotony of prison life. Special opportunities are cherished by the prisoners. At Polesmore, one young prison officer has established a choir. There's a hunger here to become involved, to take up any chance on offer. The Bird Project is a rare experiment. There are 170,000 inmates in the South African prison system. In a nation with one of the worst crime rates in the world, the desire for punishment can often override any chance of rehabilitation. But the tiny birds of Polesmore Prison are offering some hope for the prisoners who want to change.
It symbolises for me freedom a bit. It's flying in the sky and that sort of, it symbolises freedom for me. And they are in cages, the prisoners, virtually in cages here in prison, you see. But they one day must also get out. So they must get hand-reared here. They must get tame here to get out in the society, to be part of the community again.